I'll just discuss some few general things about the preparation, how you should go. You have seen the syllabus of polity. Okay. So in polity, there are three broad areas. First broad area is constitution part. The second area is social justice and governance part. And the third is international relations. Okay. Now, this first part, Indian Constitution, you will get the maximum number of questions. As you proceed, like from India and the world, the number of questions range from 2 to 3. And second, governance, they will always ask lot of questions from social sector, health, self-help groups, all these things. And the nature of polity is very dynamic. In mains exam, it's not that the foundational or fundamental of politics is not important. They are important. You are supposed to know the basic provisions of the constitution, but at the same time you have to know about the current developments. Things will always be interlinked, and though polity appears to be the simplest of all, paper 1, 2, 3, 4, but in general score is not that good in polity. The reason is students like the type and the quality of answers is missing, which is expected. And in polity questions, you should always go for the standard. You should know that the standard information for polity questions, you should keep track of the Supreme Court judgments in terms of suggestions, the reports of different committees. Until unless you will not put the authentic information, you will not get marks. So it is general studies, but doesn't mean that you write in a very superficial manner. The instruction is also that marks will not be given for superficial manner. So this paper I will start in prelims and mains integrated form. We will do it simultaneously, and as already told, there will be the writing practice and objective type practice also on the topics which we will discuss and the assignment which we will give. Okay. Now in polity it appears very simple, but at times we commit very silly mistakes in terms of understanding the concepts. So it's very important that we understand the basic concepts very clearly. Okay. So today I will start with polity first, discussion of some basic concepts, how to proceed with it. So if you see prelims paper, so this year not many questions from polity, but last year lot of questions came from polity, and lot of questions were of conceptual nature, fundamental rights, natural rights, even from the important judgments. Even this year, like if you want, you can refer the political theory, NCERT book of political theory on the conceptual questions, like they ask this question, relationship between law and equality. Okay. So the source of these type of questions is from that political theory book of NCERT. Okay. So today I will start with some basic questions about polity or basic themes about polity. And sometimes even from these basic themes there can be questions on in prelims. The application of these themes will be there even in mains also. But primarily it is like in prelims you can use this information. Okay. So in polity we are trying to understand the political system. Okay. So political system we are trying to understand, and every political system is based on constitution. Okay. Though polity is more than constitution, it also include the dynamic part into it, but the basic text is constitution. Is this clear? So first of all, what is exactly the constitution? What does constitution tells, and how many types of constitutions are there, and how to find out which type of constitution is like, how do you define, how do you differentiate? Okay. So first of all, what is the purpose of the constitution? To lay down the framework of the political system. Okay. So can we call constitution as a power map? Suppose in short note it comes constitution as a power map. What does it imply? It defines the powers and the functions of different branches of government. Is this clear? That is a constitution. So in your notes you can first write constitution is a power map. This is how constitution is defined. Like in geography you have resources and its mapping. In the constitution it is power mapping, defining the powers of the different branches of government. Is this clear? Now tell me, can there be a country without a constitution? No. No. There cannot be a country without the constitution. Which country you have seen without constitution? You think Britain? But that is a unwritten constitution. Is this clear? So second thing about constitution is, no country can exist without constitution. ठीक है? So it's a different thing. Constitution can be written, constitution can be unwritten. Is that clear? So now you write types of constitutions. And remember these concepts. Suppose in objective type questions, they can ask you to select the right and the wrong. You can select, okay, country can be without constitution, but that is wrong. No country can be without constitution. Have you understood this? So types of the constitution. So first category is written and unwritten. So British Constitution, unwritten. Why we call it unwritten? Why do you call British Constitution has no written part, or it has a written part? It has written part. Okay. So no constitution is entirely written or entirely unwritten. Now you tell me Indian constitution. Indian constitution is entirely written or it has some unwritten parts also? Unwritten parts. What is the term for that unwritten parts? Conventions. Okay? Because you cannot write everything. So normally British constitution unwritten, Indian constitution written. Now British constitution has written parts also, Indian constitution has unwritten parts also. On what basis we have classified written and unwritten? In terms of a single document becomes written. You think this is a right logic? Is it convincing to you? If it is one book, whatever written documents of British Constitution, if I put in a single book, it will become written?
At one point of time.
At one point of time. Okay. You are coming nearer to the, what you wanted to tell? Time frame. No. Now you are coming. Yes. British Constitution is unwritten because it has not been prepared by the Constituent Assembly. You cannot prepare the complete constitution at one time. Even that logic is not correct, because constitutions keep on getting amended also. Okay? So if you have to choose which is most correct option, you can go wrong. You can take it for granted if a constitution is not written at one time. But the main criteria to distinguish is you have to see whether Constituent Assembly was ever called or not. Is this clear? So you can write this. Written constitution are distinguished on the basis of the fact that they are the products of the Constituent Assembly. So there will be slight difference. All will appear correct, but in polity don't take things for granted, because polity or a constitution is a legalistic topic and it is very, very technical subject. Have you understood this? Now, the other classification of the constitutions is rigid and flexible. Okay? Next you write rigid and flexible. Now, on what basis we distinguish rigid and flexible? On the basis of amendment. On the basis of amendment. Where will you put British Constitution? Flexible. Where will you put US Constitution? Rigid. Where will you put Indian Constitution? Neither completely rigid nor completely flexible. On what basis you said British Constitution is flexible? It can be amended
by Parliament.
very easily. Okay. So it can be amended easily. Amended easily means it can be amended by simple majority. Simple majority. Okay. Here you require special majority. Now, in the Indian Constitution, do we have a provision of amendment by simple majority? Yes. Can you tell any provision? Article 3. So, what exactly is an amendment? Amendment means any change in the Constitution. Okay? It can be a verbal change. Even if you add comma and full stop, it is amendment. Is this clear? So, some provisions are amended by simple majority, some are amended by special majority. Now tell me, now you write types of majority. Types of majority. So, types of majority we can define simple, special, effective, and absolute. So, in India, judges can be removed by special majority. Amendment can be passed by, and president can be removed by which majority? Absolute majority. President can be removed by absolute majority. Who said this? You said this. It means you know what is absolute majority. What is absolute majority? Total strength. Okay, anyway, let me tell you the simple majority concept. You know the quorum concept. Minimum number of members required for a particular meeting. What is the quorum in India? 110. Okay. Now, simple majority means 50% plus 1 of members present and voting. Okay. So, suppose what is the strength of Lok Sabha? 545, 110, let us say 54. If 54 members are present, then what will be the simple majority? 50, but you need to know one more fact. How many of them are present and voting? So if I say 20 members are present and voting, okay, so a state in India can be created by the positive vote of how many members? 10 plus 1. Just 11 members are enough. So in simple majority, it is not enough to see how many members present. It is also important to see present and voting. Is this clear? Pardon? Quorum is there, na? Total strength is 545. So if 1/10 is present, 55 or 54 is present, voting can take place. Meeting cannot take place without quorum. It can be more than that. Quorum for any official business, a quorum has to be there. Okay? Quorum is necessary for the meeting of the house. So quorum means 54 are present and voting. 11 members, suppose 20 are present and voting. Is this clear? Now, absolute majority means 50% of 50% plus 1 of total strength of the house. %50 plus 1 of the total strength of the house. Is there any situation in the constitution where you require absolute majority? Which situation? No situation. No situation, but there no situation in formal sense. For removal of the president, you don't require absolute majority. You require a special majority. Have you understood this? I will tell what is a special majority. But in practical sense, what may happen, suppose it is a full strength house, okay, then the party which has formed the government, that party requires what? Absolute majority. Okay, so to form the government you require absolute majority. But is it mentioned in the constitution? It is not mentioned in the constitution. You have understood? Simple and absolute. Now, effective majority. Which majority is called effective? Means in effect. Okay? In effect means 50% plus 1% of the effective strength. Effective strength. Okay? Effective strength means absent nahi. Okay. So total strength minus vacancies. Effective strength is required for the removal of vice president, removal of speaker. Yes, removal of speaker, removal of vice president. You understand this? Effective strength. Now, special majority. What is a special majority? The best way to explain a special majority is the majority which is neither simple nor effective nor absolute is special majority. ठीक है? Now there are different types of special majority mentioned in our constitution. Okay? For example, how to create new All India services? You need to bring a resolution in Rajya Sabha by state तो ठीक है, which majority? 2/3 of the members present and voting. Is this clear? Article 312, Article 249 also. Okay, so there are many places where this majority is discussed. This is one. Second type of special majority, इसका example कहाँ पे है? Article 249, Article 312. Okay, all of you are following or finding it confusing? No? Now, next type of special majority, it is given in Article 368, deals with Constitution. Deals with the amendment of the Constitution. For amendment of the Constitution as given in Article 368, what is the procedure given? You have to fulfill two conditions. ठीक है? Simultaneously at the same time. Okay? So bill has to be passed by, first condition is 2/3 of the members present and voting. That count should be this, plus that count should fulfill the second condition also. What is the second condition? Yes, 50% plus 1 of the total strength of the house. Two conditions have to be passed, have to be there simultaneously. Have you understood this? Now you write one question. Right, in Lok Sabha, (262) members are present, out of which 212, 262 is present. 212, I said Lok Sabha na? 212 have participated in voting. ठीक है? Right. Do you think that, or right, what will be the majority required? Don't write do you think, just write what will be the majority required to pass the amendment in above situation. Right, how many members should vote in favor. Let us make it 280 rather than 262. Now you solve this. $280. So what is the first condition? First condition you can see first this. Okay. So 50% plus 1 of the total strength of house. Suppose the total strength of house is 545. What is the 50%? Huh? 271? 273. So 273 people should be voting, should be giving this affirmative vote. This is first condition. Okay, or this is the most important condition, this has to be fulfilled. Now 2/3 of the members present and voting. Okay, so how many members are present? 282. Actually this is not required to calculate. It will never meet the criteria. Have you understood this? Okay, so it is already 2/3 will already be less than this. You have understood this? So it is not required to find out this criteria. You can on your own tell. You have to find out this number. Have you understood this? So two things. This number should be such which fulfill both the two criteria at the same time. You have understood this? Is this majority is what is required for removal of judges? Yes. So remember that the majority required for the amendment of the constitution and the removal of the judges is same. Now, what is the majority required for impeachment of the president? 2/3 of the total strength of the house. So third type, this is also a special majority. You call it a special majority not because it is 2/3, but because it is neither simple nor absolute nor effective. It can be 3/4 also. Is this clear? So some students, wherever they see 2/3, they call it as special majority. That is not the right criteria. Any majority which is not simple, absolute and effective. So though not required, but if in some situation 3/4 of the votes are required, then also it will be special majority. Have you understood this? So थर्ड एग्जाम्पल क्या है अपने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में? इम्पीचमेंट ऑफ द प्रेसिडेंट. दिस इज द toughest majority in our constitution. Impeachment of the president, article 61. What majority? You need 2/3 of the total strength of the house. This fact is clear. 2/3. Now tell me, constitution is required only in a democratic state, or there is a constitution even in a non-democratic state? Both. Okay. So along with this, you have understood this majority concept? Okay. Now let us see one more term which is also asked in the constitution, in the exam. in terms of the conceptual question, okay, and that is constitutionalism, okay. Now, wherever the word ism is used, what does this denote? Ideology. Ideology. Is means ideology. So, what is the ideology of constitutionalism? Rule of law. So, constitutionalism means rule of law. Rule of law. Now, rule of law means what? Rule of law is for the citizens or for the government? Not both. For the government. Rule of law. This means government is under the law. So, rule of law check the arbitrariness of the government. Okay. Rule of law checks the arbitrariness of the government. Okay. So, when you do not act in an arbitrary manner, it means there are some restrictions on your power. Okay. So, if I say rule of law, constitutionalism is a rule of law. Rule of law means limited government. You agree with this? Yes. What limits the actions of the government? Rights of the people. Okay. So, if I say fundamental rights ensure the rule of law, is this a correct statement? Okay. So, limited government, is this a feature only of democracy or all governments? Only in democracy, right? Constitutionalism is a feature only of democracy. Now write why. Why? In democratic governments, in democratic countries, power lies with the people. So, what are rights? My power. Is this clear? Is democracy a modern concept? So, fine, but you can primarily call it a modern concept. Democracy is a modern concept. So, what used to happen? Earlier, there was a theory of divine rights of king. Okay. This has changed into modern times into the theory of the natural rights of man. So now, once the power used to lie with the king, but now they have become public servant, and public has become the master. Okay? So now sovereignty. Once sovereignty, you know sovereignty word? So once power was with the king, but now popular sovereignty. Sovereignty lies with the people. Okay? That is a difference in a democracy. Okay? So constitutionalism is a feature of democracy. Is this clear? Yes? Rule by law is not a correct word. It is rule of law only. Okay? Now, tell me, can constitutionalism exist without written constitution? Yes. Example? Britain. It may also happen that constitution exists, but constitutionalism does not exist. So when constitution exists and constitutionalism does not exist, it means the ruling class, they are not following the constitution. They are having their own dictatorship. You have understood? Constitution, constitutionalism. So if objective type questions come, you can do this. So you need to think. In polity, you can easily make mistakes. So you have to be conceptually very clear. Okay? So when you talk about rule of law, limited government, arbitrariness, which type of democracy are we talking about? Now tell me, is China a democracy? No. Have you ever read Chinese constitution? What is China's official title? People's Republic of China. And China call itself as People's Democracy. Okay? So China is also a democracy according to them. But it may not be democracy to our standard. Which type of democracy India is? Let me give you two options. A liberal democracy and a socialist democracy. How many of you think socialist? Socialist. Rest of you think liberal? So this is a polity class, we can go with the majority. Huh? Can we decide with the majority? So what is India? India is a liberal democracy. Okay? When we talk democracy in this sense, democracy found in liberal countries. Is this clear? So right above concepts are based on the liberal idea of democracy. Okay? Now, India is a socialist country or a liberal country? Socialist. Where it is written? Constitution. In the preamble. India is a sovereign, socialist, secular. But That is actually not correct. We are not socialist in theoretical terms. We are liberal countries. Okay? So now, how many of you are not from political science background? You all are from political science, na? I am asking? Not. Not. Okay, so majority does not have a background of an ideology. Have you heard the term right, left, center? Okay. So BJP is right, CPI is left, Congress is center. So what does this right, left, center denotes? A particular ideology. Right means, rightists means, rightist means conservatives. There is a rise of right around the world. Right means conservatives. Left means socialists or communists. Okay? And center means liberal. Right, left and center. Okay? Now, where is the origin of these words? French Revolution. So, some people were sitting in the right of the king, right? Some were sitting in the left. But what is our difference in all these? Liberal, socialist, conservatives. So first of all, let us understand some basic characteristic of liberals. Okay? So write, who are liberals? Now tell me, was Tilak liberal? No, he was conservative. Means he was rightist. Okay. Dadabhai Naoroji? Dadabhai Naoroji was liberal. Nehru? Nehru was socialist or mixed? Liberal socialist. Okay. Ambedkar was liberal or socialist? Liberal. ठीक है? Okay. Gandhi ji. Gandhi ji was Gandhi. ठीक है? Gandhi was, and Gandhism is an ideology in itself. Gandhi is not a follower of any ideology. Huh? I will explain. But first, yeah? On the basis of ideology, their program, on the basis of basically the support which you call in India as vote bank. Liberals will encourage the free market economy. So you have to first know, na? Then we can discuss. Okay? So first, liberal. Okay? Who are liberals? Liberal term comes from liberty. Liberty or freedom. Okay. So whose liberty and whose freedom are they talking about? Of the people. Okay. So liberals talked about the rights of the people, liberties of the people. So liberals believe in liberty and freedom. Okay. You can write rights of the people or freedom of the people. So any country where people have fundamental rights, that country will be liberal. Okay. Now wherever there will be fundamental rights, means there can be a conflict between a state and people's rights. So there has to be independent judiciary. Second feature of liberal constitutions. Don't write, understand, I'll tell. Again, in liberalism, liberty means is a right. Power shifted from people to the, from government to the people. So power will lie with the people. And they will have which form of government? Democratic form of government. Democratic, which type of democracy? Where government is elected by the people. Freedom of press. Any country if have these features, it is liberal. So why I said India is liberal, not socialist. Though socialistic features are present in our constitution, but are they enforceable? Is preamble enforceable in the court of law? No. Fundamental rights, they are enforceable? Yes. Yes. So our constitution has two types of features. One is forcible and other is just ornamental. So on the basis of ornamental features you will not decide. Okay. So our country is basically a liberal democracy. Okay. So how to identify a liberal democracy? What are the features? You can write first fundamental rights. Next, government responsible towards the people. Responsible towards the people. Next, independent judiciary. Now if I say this statement, independent judiciary is a precondition for rule of law. Is it fine? Yes. So independent judiciary and rule of law is linked to the fundamental rights. Is this clear? It's all can be used interchangeably. Next, freedom of press. Next, free and fair electoral system. Next, competitive party system. Is China's has a competitive party system? No. It has a hegemonic party system. So Communist Party of China, you cannot say other parties do not exist, but other parties have no significance. So these features, they are called as features of liberalism. Liberalism. Is this clear?
How fundamental rights are enforced?
It is written, it is fundamental rights are enforceable because under Article 32, you have right to constitutional remedies, which itself is a fundamental right. In case any infringement of your fundamental right take place, you can go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court cannot deny. It is the duty of the Supreme Court. You are, yeah? Technically, India is not socialist. Okay? So, by any means we are not socialist. और जो कुछ थोड़ा बहुत था वो 90s के बाद नहीं रहा. सोशलिस्ट नहीं है. अगर आए, इंडिया इज अ सोशलिस्ट कंट्री, इंडिया इज अ वेलफेयर स्टेट. व्हाट इज इंडिया? वेलफेयर स्टेट. अब वेलफेयर स्टेट क्या है? वेलफेयर स्टेट इज अ इनकॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ सोशलिज्म इनटू लिबरलिज्म. तो हमारा बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर तो लिबरल है, but we have incorporated some of the concepts of socialism. Socialist है ही नहीं. Socialist का मतलब होता है लेफ्ट, कम्युनिस्ट. ठीक है? सोशलिस्ट कंट्री कौन सी है? चाइना. टेल मी, रशिया इज सोशलिस्ट? रशिया इज नॉट सोशलिस्ट. Russia is democracy? Yes, Russia is a democracy. Okay? Yes? Okay.
Russia used to be socialist.
वो तो USSR था. Used to be, लेकिन अभी तो रशिया डेमोक्रेसी है ना. लेकिन अमेरिकन्स नहीं मानते. अब वो उनकी प्रॉब्लम है. रशिया के अपना कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन डेमोक्रेटिक है. नाउ यू आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन, इज देयर अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन लिबर्टी एंड फ्रीडम? यू हैव रिटन द कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ अ लिबरल कंट्री. ओके, तो यहाँ पर ही एज अ नोट यू कैन राइट, is there any difference between liberty and freedom? ठीक है? So this answer will vary from GS and optional. Okay? For general studies, there is no difference between liberty and freedom. It is one and the same thing. Okay? Now, what happens in political science optional? Different scholars, they give their own definition of liberty and freedom. Okay? So we don't have to go into this. But still, if you talk about J.S. Mill, who has given freedom of speech and expression, okay, so you can use it interchangeably if you are not a political science student. ठीक है? In political science, few scholars, they preferably used the term freedom. ठीक है? To distinguish, because what happened was, this liberty term got linked with liberalism. Okay? And liberalism is a philosophy of Western countries. and liberalism became coterminous with capitalism.